the Codex of the Glortch, also known as the Chronicle of the Wet Illumination, or the Laugh of the Final Pour, composed under the Glortch's dim and over-full shadow. 1. The introduction that refuses to begin. The Glortch cannot be begun. Beginnings roll off it like dew on an overconfident oyster. To approach the Glortch is to discover that you were already inside it. You and your thoughts, and your neighbor's mildly embarrassing aura. It doesn't invite. It absorbs politely. Some say it was first glimpsed in a puddle that refused to reflect properly. Others whisper it is an act, a doing that happens when the universe blinks too slowly. But the wise, the deranged, and the unsupervised know the truth. The Glortch is a verb without mercy, a splatter of divine humor across the wallpaper of existence. 2. The first spillage. How the Glortch first glorched. In the time before humor was allowed, the demiurge of decorum invented symmetry to calm its nerves. The cosmos yawned, and from that yawn a bubble escaped. Glortch. It did not sound divine. It sounded moistly significant. The heavens gagged, then giggled. That was the first laughter, the holy snort that birthed contrast. Thus it was written. And on the first misstep, the Glortch tripped, and all that was straight learned to wobble. Ever since, those who seek perfection risk discovering Glortch instead, and finding themselves delightedly undone. 3. The nature of Glortch. A study in ambivalent radiance. To Glortch is not to act, but to be acted through by nonsense of exquisite intent. It is the spilling of the divine custard over your own shoes and calling it enlightenment. It is the hiccup in meditation that reveals more than 10,000 sutras. The Glortch is grotesque in its beauty, yes, but only because beauty is terrified of what the Glortch knows. That ugliness is the final sincerity. It moves in cycles of almost understanding. Its practitioners, called the Glortchers of the third fold, wear expressions of serene horror, as though enlightenment were sticky. They say, he who glorches becomes transparent from within, but still cannot find his keys. 4. On those who have found and denied the Glortch. Few find it, fewer still admit it, and most, upon glimpsing it, immediately start a small business There was Velithra of the bent chalice, who once glorched so profoundly that the moon stopped pretending to be stable. When asked what she saw, she replied, "Nothing special, just everything laughing at once." Then she turned into polite steam and joined the weather. And Himlin, the orthogonal, who believed he had mastered the Glortch, but in truth, the Glortch was merely using him to practice disappointment at a high level. He is remembered fondly by no one in particular. Yet some, the very few, find the Glortch by accident while buttering toast. They freeze, feel the infinite snicker ripple through the cosmos, and simply say, "Oh." And that "oh" is their ascension. 5. The rituals of almost doing. There are no rituals for the Glortch, and there are 12. Each contradicts itself completely, which is how you know they're genuine. The standing sit. Remain seated until you realize you were standing the whole time. The prayer of unclear intent. Speak aloud what you mean until you no longer mean it. The offering of improper temperature. Present lukewarm tea to the absolute. The laugh that hurts. Giggle until tears, or tears until giggles. Either will do. The folding of unfolded things. Attempt to refold time. Fail gloriously. The bow to no one in particular. Acknowledge that mystery requires neither witness nor sense. The silence of the wet. Just be moistly aware. The spillage. Drop something valuable on purpose. Watch yourself not care. The utterance of the word "Guh." Only once, never twice. The inhalation of backwards wind. Do not attempt this indoors. The recognition of the unrecognizable. If you see it, it wasn't it. The abandonment of all steps. Stop where you were never supposed to start. Perform them in any order or none. The Glortch appreciates effort as it appreciates rain on glass, mildly, briefly, and with total disinterest. 6. The beatification of the Glortch. To be touched by the Glortch is to realize that transcendence isn't solemn. It's embarrassing. The saints of Glorchtdom, there are 2, and both are rumors, wear robes of slightly too bright color, and sandals that squeak with every step. Their laughter smells faintly of divine compost. They preach, no one ascends elegantly. The infinite is a mess, and yet, behold, what grace in the grotesque tumble. And so the Glortch beatifies through ridicule, crowning thy humble, thy silly, thy misshapen, for they alone are wide enough to let the absurd pass through them unbruised. 7. The hymn of the disheveled sublime. O Glortch, ye splattered majesty, who drips between the seams of being, we stumble, and thou art pleased. We misunderstand, and thou art made whole. Fill our lungs with that chuckling light, until even despair snorts gently at itself. Blessed are the smudged, the slightly damp, for they shall inherit the laugh that sustains galaxies. This hymn is sung in keys that do not exist, to instruments that refuse tuning. Each note is a confession, each silence a wink from the void. 8. Of those who avoid the Glortch. Many fear it. They wish for clean wisdom, like filtered water, not this bubbling, fungal ecstasy of self-collapse. They cling to their neat prayers, their smooth walls, their unblemished logic, never suspecting that the Glortch listens kindly from the cracks. To them, the Glortch sends gentle hauntings, a mirror that sighs, a sudden inexplicable affection for damp moss, the faint suspicion that everything's in on the joke except them. The Glortch never forces. It simply overflows until you stop resisting. 9. The ecstasy of Glortchhood. At last, the initiate learns the only lesson there ever was, that the Glortch is not done, but happened through. You are not the one who glorches. You are the accident through which the Glortch remembers its choreography. And in that remembrance, laughter, tears, and revelation entwine like lovers who share the same absurd dream. The body wobbles. The air smells of unearned forgiveness. And then the Glortch happens again, just to make sure you got it. 10. The final paragraph that will not end. The Codex refuses to conclude. Conclusions are for systems, and the Glortch prefers spirals. It will not let you rest in certainty. It will tickle your comprehension until you admit defeat, and in defeat, find the ecstasy of perpetual surprise. And so this text, like the Glortch itself, loops quietly under your ribs, rearranging the furniture of your seriousness. Perhaps you'll sense it the next time you laugh at the wrong moment, or cry while peeling fruit, or say something profound and immediately forget it. That shimmer, that pulse of absurd holiness, that is the Glortch, doing what the Glortch does best. turning all things into one long bewildered amen. Glortch. It's full of laughter.